Welcome back to Screen Rant. Today, we're doing another recasting video. This time for 1997's Titanic, all on the idea of what it would be like if Titanic were being made today. But we have another treat. We're going to reboot the film in various different genres. So we'll cast the main roles of the James Cameron classic as if the film was a western, a sci-fi, a romantic comedy, and so on. We'll also see what the effect the new genre has on the film's plot, which, of course, is pretty drastic at times. So grab your floating door that can easily fit 2 people, and let's get started. First up, we have an action-adventure Titanic in a similar vein to Die Hard mixed with Speed 2. In this tale, the boat is taken over by baddies who are led by Captain Smith. With a role like that, only one chap came to mind for the part: Donald Sutherland. He plays a delightful bad guy. Just look at his involvement in the Hunger Games franchise. Smith is attempting to steal from all of the first-class passengers. On top of this, he threatens to crash the boat if the US government doesn't pay a hostage fee of millions of dollars. The first-class passengers are being guarded in the ballroom. Jack manages to escape into the vents and finds the guarded room. Rose trips one of the goons as they walk by and sprints to the vent where Jack is. Gunfire rains down. But since the baddies are essentially stormtroopers, none of them hit. Rose and Jack then go through the boat and save as many passengers as possible. Just imagine the I'm the king of the world scene, but with Jack climbing the rope to escape a horde of goons. Perfect! However, after a tussle with Smith for control of the boat, it looks like he's been defeated and the good peeps win. But the controls have been damaged. The Titanic plows into an iceberg. For the roles of Rose and Jack, I've gone with actors that have a little bit of an action background on their CVs. Jack will be played by Taron Egerton, who has experienced dabbling in action thanks to Kingsman. Rose will be performed by Sophie Turner. On top of being in Game of Thrones, she also played the mutant Jean Grey in Fox's X-Men franchise, so she has the screen combat skills to beat the baddies silly. If anything was missing from the original film, it was laughs. Then again, the story probably wasn't the most appropriate to add in loads of funnies. For better or for worse, we're changing it today. Set in the modern day, Titanic is now going to be a romantic comedy. For the casting, I popped in Emma Roberts as Rose. She has plenty of comedy experience, such as being in We're the Millers, and It's Kind of a Funny Story. For Jack, Cole Sprouse takes the role. After making his name in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody with his brother Dylan, they then appeared in the spin-off The Sweet Life on Deck, giving Sprouse some vital training on pretending to be on a boat. In this version, once Jack meets Rose, he immediately lies. He wants to get his hands on her diamond, the heart of the ocean. He tells her he's a famous artist and was visiting Monaco to set up another gallery. Rose is intrigued by this chap. She convinces him to look at her art collection. Jack has to bluff his way through the proceedings since he knows next to nothing about art. Then the famous "draw me like one of your French girls" plays out. Yet, instead of a delightful sketch of Rose, it's pretty much terrible. He claims it's a style that's big in Europe, but Rose is unsure. As the two get to know each other, Jack stops trying to cheat Rose out of her diamond. Now, he's fallen for her. With the Titanic sinking, the two hold on to the stern as the boat snaps in two. There, Jack tells Rose who he really is. Not great timing, but Rose lets him know that she was lying as well. The diamond is fake. She planned to steal some of Jack's art. This time, they both get onto the floating door as they reference the theory/fact that the original version could have kept both of them safe. Halloween may have been and gone, but what if Titanic visited the realm of the scary film? I had only 2 people in mind for this genre. For Rose, we have Victoria Pedretti. Known for her performances in Netflix's terrifying shows The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor, so Pedretti is able to squeeze screams from her audience. As for Jack, we've gone with Timothée Chalamet. The Oscar-nominated actor is also one of the hottest rising stars in Hollywood at the moment. Scary Titanic is set during 1912. As Rose and Jack play tonsil tennis, Cal Hockley, Rose's fiancé, spots them. Distraught, he walks away. However, he slips and falls overboard, never to be seen again. At least, alive. Ooh, spooky! Soon after, one by one, everyone that Rose and Jack know on the ship are taken out. Nearing the end of the film, the boat clatters against an iceberg, cracking the hull. Jack and Rose go to the lower level as they hear children calling out, similar to when Rose and Jack save the boy from the original film. Instead, we see the ghostly figure of Cal. As Rose and Jack run away, a gate snaps shut, blocking Jack into a small area. Rose tries to open the gate, but it doesn't work. Instead, we can see Cal cackling in the background. As the water rises, Jack forces her to leave. She manages to find some debris and jumps from the ship into the water. Whilst devastated and alone, she watches the boat sink. Behind her, on the debris, sits Cal. A Joker-esque grin stretches across his face. Since we need an actor who's capable of scaring everyone with just a smile, I push forward Bill Skarsgård for the role. Just look at the dance he does as Pennywise in it. Welp, no sleep tonight. Let's get all science fiction-y. Set 1,000 years into the future, the Titanic is now a spaceship that's huge and contains a city of millions within. Earth became dangerous, so the survivors had to leave on a big rocket ship. Jack comes from the lower class that are forced to live horrible lives and aid those in the higher class. Sort of like the situation in the Snowpiercer film. He'll be played by Thomas Brody Sangster. He has vast sci-fi experience thanks to the Maze Runner series. Rose comes from the upper class society. Her family were the ones that built and run the Titanic. Rose will be portrayed by China Anne McClain. She has sci-fi experience as she's currently Jennifer Pierce in Black Lightning. One day, Rose finds out her family set into motion a load of disasters on Earth that appeared to be a result of climate change. On Earth, the Bucator family have taken control of all sorts of natural caches, such as oil, gold, diamond, and so on. Rose is then discovered gathering evidence by the family and has to escape. She eventually runs into Jack and he helps her hide. The two make a plan to release the evidence on the ship's intranet. But it's heavily guarded and Jack is captured in the attempt. The family wants the evidence in exchange for Jack's life. As Rose makes her way to hand over the evidence, older Rose makes an appearance. She'll be played by Viola Davis. The Oscar winner will have to channel her stern action side as seen as Amanda Waller in The Suicide Squad. Older Rose traveled back into the past to stop Rose making the same mistake she did. A little time hopping like Quinn and Nightfall situation in Final Space, that shows the best. Anyway, older Rose gave up the plans in her experience and they still eliminated Jack. So she shows Rose how to save Jack and release the evidence. Upon achieving this, the lower class begin a rebellion. They eventually take over the ship before it can crash into an asteroid. Since this entry is Western, only one person sprang to mind for the role of Jack: Clint Eastwood. But he may be a tad too old for today. So we'll cast his son, Scott Eastwood. This Titanic trip is traveling down the old Mississippi River towards New Orleans during the early 1800s. Rose DeWitt Bucator is in disguise. She's recently been involved in armed robbery at a bank. She found a huge I'm gonna stop with the accent. She found a huge diamond in the vault and decided to try and sell it. But now she's a wanted woman. So she stole the identity from the actual Rose, who wasn't able to get on board as a result. Taking on the role of imposter Rose will be Lily James. She's best known for being in Downton Abbey and in the 2015 Cinderella film. She looks like a typical Western damsel, but that's what's fun. The character isn't like that at all. With all the kerfuffle caused by the actual Rose, Captain Smith is suspicious. On board is U.S. Marshal Jack Dawson. I did the accent again. He was traveling to New Orleans in order to collect a bounty from a recent arrest he made. Instead of Cal planting the diamond on Jack, like during the original scene, we have Captain Smith and Jack arresting Rose. Only when Jack and Rose are distracted, Smith takes the diamond for himself. As soon as Rose is locked up in a cell on the boat, Marshal Jack realizes the diamond is gone. Rose tells Jack everything, and she knows who took the jewel. She refuses to tell him until he lets her out to help. The two go to confront Smith on the bridge, but he's already lowering an emergency boat when Jack and Rose catch up. Before they can stop him, Smith sets off a load of dynamite as a distraction, and the boat begins to sink. For Captain Smith, who else would play the southern baddie than perhaps one of the greatest mustachioed actors in the world, Sam Elliott. Look at that gorgeous stash. Stunning! Jack Dawson is a private investigator who is drowning his sorrows in a bottle of whiskey. There's a knock at his office door. Rose, dressed in a long flowing gown, walks in. Her fiancé, Cal Hockley, was slain this evening for the heart of the ocean, but the corrupt police aren't investigating. She needs Jack to find out who did it and get the diamond back. Yep, it's a noir thriller film. Katie Cassidy was made for this version of Rose. She's more well known as Laurel Lance in DC's Arrow, but it's her performance as Ruby in Supernatural that made her ideal. As for Jack, I decided to go with future Oscar winner Michael B. Jordan. After all, he was in a film literally called Hotel Noir. Coincidence? Probably. For Cal, newcomer to the MCU, Wyatt Russell gets the role. After seeing his performance in 2018's Overlord, Russell could play this particular Cal with relative ease. Back to the plot. Jack's investigation leads him to the nightclub, the Titanic, which Cal owned. Everyone seems to have a just cause for taking out Cal. As Jack gets closer to finding out the truth, numerous water pipes burst in Titanic. The huge amount of water had weakened the walls, and they begin to collapse. Jack hears the cries of Rose in the basement. When he gets there, he's hit across the head. As he falls, he glances up wearily and sees Rose holding a crowbar. She mentions that she's queen of the world. That's when the penny drops for Jack. Rose took out Cal for the diamond. Now, as the sole owner of the Titanic, she was destroying it for the insurance money. Jack was used in order to make it look like Rose had no ill intent. As such, Rose is the classic noir trope of the fabled femme fatale. With the building nearing complete collapse, Jack has to get out as quickly as possible, as well as find Rose and make her answer for her crimes. And that's a wrap. Which Titanic reboot did you like the most? Let us know in the comments below. Did you like my terrible accents? Let me know that in the comments too. If you like this series and want to see more, please like, share, and subscribe. All of those actions really help us out. And finally, thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.